Evening, afternoon, morning, whenever you're watching this is Tori here, and today I decided to put together a little speed paint of something that I worked on stream. I actually started this off stream where I did the sketch and then only started to record on my desktop about maybe an hour in when I was just like, I finished refining the sketch and I did all the color blocking, and now it's on to the exciting part. My current workflow is sort of a branch off of what my old workflow used to be, where I would start with something, a very sketchy sketch. I thought that line art was a pain to do, so I would jump from the sketch into creating a grayscale piece of artwork and then painting over the grayscale with the different colors, doing overlay effects, trying to fiddle around with the end result, and then coming to something that's got this high contrast shadow. But I found that I was spending a lot of time working on the sketch to grayscale phase, and after doing the 2 weeks exercise of drawing an assortment of webcomics for Takamori, I realized that line art's actually a good way for me to speed up the process because I'm able to not have to spend time sort of refining where areas are in order to get that end result. There is sort of a consequence that I noticed in my new workflow. So, going from my original workflow of starting with the sketch, then grayscale, then multiply colors on top, then fiddle around with overlay effects. My new workflow is sketch, then line art, then I color block everything, which is sort of the equivalent to painting over like multiply. But instead of it all being on one layer, I make sure that all of the colors are delimited. Usually I separate into skin as one collection, and then the hair is a collection and the clothes are another. After I get the color block, then I do a complete version where everything is grayscale, and then I take that grayscale and I will multiply it onto the separate color blocked layers and apply different effects to each, such that like the skin gets a warmer orangier tone compared to the clothes, which may be cool toned. And then after I merge everything together, then I fiddle around a lot with the end result until I get to where I want it. I found with this new process that instead of when I go from sketch to the rendered grayscale, I'm able to fiddle around with the sketch until I get something that looks nice. When I commit from sketch to line art, I don't notice those oddities until much later. So then I spend, after I do the grayscale portion, then I have to have another step that's dedicated to just refining everything so it's nice. So at this point, in this walkthrough, at the start of the video I had already done the color blocking before I started recording, so as you can see I just finished the grayscale where I went around and just like fiddled with the shadows until it looked nice, and now I duplicated this grayscale later a bunch of times, and you can see me going through and applying different colored overlays to those multiplies and then merging everything together. I'm just working my way from the bottom to the top. I've also got this little clip art square that's a Vaporwave color palette. I got it forever ago. I saw it mentioned from an artist. Ocean Tan was her username on DeviantArt, but she nowadays goes by Ocean in Space, and she mentioned this Vaporwave color palette as like being the basis of all her artwork, so I downloaded a still of it, and that's what I use for some of my drawings. I don't use it for all of them. I also have like a retro 90s anime color palette, but it doesn't really give me the effects that I want. But the main issue with this Vaporwave color palette is that it lacks most of the colors. Like there's only one brown, and that brown is very magenta-y. So like the browns that I use in this picture are all color picked separately. As I'm watching this, I have to say that I was continuously impressed at how well the antlers turned out. They actually turn out much great later because I also have a step dedicated exclusively towards changing the line art colors to something that blends in more easily with the background. So this is me right now picking a royalty-free stock image that I'm going to do as the basis of my background, and then I blurred it so I just have some sort of colors to bounce off of, and it ends up like being a nice color tone. This is me not being sure of the composition, so I drew up a quick 3x3 grid, overlaid it over the area, and the sort of like rule of thumb I go by is that areas of interest need to be at where the lines intersect. So I adjusted it, and you can see I will continuously turn on and off that little red grid as I continue to refine the area. So right now I'm like not sure. The face doesn't quite look like Haruka and I want to refine it a bit further. And after I added the eyeshadow, it really started to come together. I noticed that the face was too long, so this is the whole step of me taking, now I've got something that's like semi-done, and I have to do a bunch of tweaks until it's something that I feel I'm confident about. So I reshaded those bangs. But yeah, you can see by now I've actually already retinted the line art. The only thing I do is like take the original color layer, clip it on top, then apply like a multiply of a maroon purple color. And then I go back in and change the eyelashes to be a black color so that I don't have to redraw over them. And then I go back and just like paint over areas where the line art is present. I'm almost like creating it to be sort of lineless. It's a nice balance of what I want to obtain, where the piece is not like totally polished. I don't think I'm really capable of that. I don't really have the patience for it. But somewhere between a nice polish and also like a sketchiness, but has a liveliness to it. I have no idea if any of those words make sense, but I really like the character that sketches have, but I find it difficult to be able to translate the sketch's energy into the finished piece's energy. So here I noticed that I've missed actually a few critical components of hair. One is these long ribbony hair strands, and I really liked how I was able to shade them as they bent and twist. I think that was a really effective shadow, and here I'm having fun with drawing cast shadows as if it's like super bright and the actual hair itself is causing a shadow. But this is the kicker, is that I missed the sides of Haruka's hair on the left and right that make it more into like a hime cut, like a bob. And I realized if I shade the left strands of hair to be much brighter than the rest of the hair on the forehead, I can use that perfectly in that rule of thirds diagram I was using. All this time I was trying to align one of the eyes, but I felt that I had too much negative space. I was cropping out too much that I was like excited about keeping in. But really having that light patch of hair totally brought the piece together, in my opinion. I felt very professional drawing up the square and trying to figure out how to arrange the composition at the ends. So the remainder of this painting process is just going through a little bit of refinement, like adding drop shadows that I missed, adding the patterning on the skirt and all the details, and all these like yellow dots all over her hair and vines between the two antlers and all that fun stuff, all that jazz. And then just like adding random ambient lighting across the picture to try to unify the background with the foreground. And in case I came up with any ideas on how to jazz it up further, spoilers, I end up just going with sparkles. And here's me adding the iconic Tim Hortons iced cap image brand, having a lot of fun with drawing the sprinkles and adding the logo. I decided to write Tim Hortons' name in hiragana just for fun. And making everything like super glowy on the label for no reason. So I want to spend the rest of this video talking about why I decided to draw Haruka. Not only do I like her design, but I really like how much of a inspiration she is within the community. I follow her on Twitter, I occasionally step into streams, and I really like the energy that she brings to this space. And she's also got mad video editing skills. I really like all of the shorts that she puts together on Twitter. It's just a huge amount of work to go into what she does, and I wanted to take this picture to appreciate it. And that I aspire to sort of be able to have those video editing talents. So maybe this is my ritual to try to get me on that path. Really love the roses. Can't overstate how much I love the glowy roses and how cute the face ended up being. I wasn't sure about that mouth at first. And now it's time to just play with blur and add chromatic aberration and add sparkles everywhere. Just like, you know, go haywire with it. Just at the very end, just completely distract the viewer from the end result of the piece. But yeah, thank you for doing what you do, Haruka. I enjoy looking forward to more of your content, and thank you for tuning in. I hope to continue growing and figuring out how to make these speed paints more interesting.